For decades, the nuclear balance of power was defined by a tense standoff between the United States and Russia, each side amassing vast arsenals and maintaining a delicate equilibrium that shaped global security. During this era, China maintained only a minimal deterrent, keeping its nuclear forces small and largely in the background. But that's changing, fast and in ways that are surprising even seasoned analysts. Today, China is expanding its nuclear forces at a pace unmatched by any other nation in recent history, rapidly modernizing and increasing both the size and sophistication of its arsenal. Just a few years ago, China's warhead count was estimated to be in the low hundreds, a fraction of the American and Russian stockpiles. Today, the Pentagon estimates that number has already doubled, reaching around 600 warheads, with projections suggesting it could double again within the next decade. This isn't just about numbers or raw firepower, it's about a fundamental transformation in China's nuclear posture and capabilities. China is overhauling its entire nuclear enterprise, building dozens of new missile silos, and investing heavily in infrastructure to support a much larger, more sophisticated force than ever before. Satellite images now reveal vast missile silo fields emerging in remote regions, signaling a long-term commitment to becoming a top-tier nuclear power and fundamentally altering the strategic landscape. The international community, especially the United States and its allies, is watching these developments with growing concern and uncertainty. Beijing claims its buildup is purely for self-defense, but the unprecedented speed and scale of the expansion raise serious questions about its true intentions and future ambitions. Why does China, long an advocate of minimal deterrence and restraint, suddenly need so many more weapons? What new strategies are driving this shift? This rapid expansion is forcing the world's military planners and policymakers to rethink old nuclear strategies and adapt to a new, more complex reality. The emergence of a third major nuclear power is reshaping global security calculations, introducing new risks and uncertainties into an already fragile balance. The nuclear landscape is entering a new, uncertain era, one defined by rapid change, strategic ambiguity, and the urgent need for new approaches to global stability. China's nuclear expansion is about more than just numbers. It's about advanced technology and a new era of military innovation. The country is not simply increasing its arsenal, but fundamentally changing the way it approaches nuclear deterrence. China is fielding a new generation of intercontinental ballistic missiles, many of which are capable of carrying multiple independently targetable warheads. At the same time, it is upgrading its entire nuclear triad across land, sea, and air, ensuring that each leg is more modern and effective than ever before. Road-mobile ICBMs are especially significant, as they are much harder to track and target, increasing survivability. Meanwhile, new submarines equipped with longer-range missiles provide a secure second strike capability, allowing China to respond even if its land-based forces are compromised. China's bombers are reportedly regaining a nuclear mission, giving military leaders more delivery options and adding flexibility to their strategic planning. Perhaps the most concerning leap is in hypersonic weapons, such as the DF-27. These missiles can maneuver at extremely high speeds, making them difficult to intercept and allowing them to evade most existing missile defenses. These technological advances make China's nuclear deterrent more credible and resilient, complicating adversaries' calculations and forcing them to rethink their own strategies. By diversifying its delivery systems and investing heavily in cutting-edge technology, China is transforming itself into a truly formidable nuclear power, one that can no longer be underestimated. This modernization represents a technological leap forward, not just a numerical increase. It signals a shift in the balance of power and the nature of global nuclear competition. The strategic equation is fundamentally changing as new capabilities alter the risks and calculations for all major powers. China's new arsenal is designed to survive a first strike, retaliate effectively, and hold distant targets at risk, no matter where they are in the world. The world must now contend with a nuclear force that is not only larger but also far more sophisticated and unpredictable than before. The arms race is no longer just about quantity, it's about quality, innovation, and the ability to adapt to a rapidly changing technological landscape. The United States is sounding the alarm as it closely monitors China's rapid and unprecedented nuclear buildup, a development that is reshaping the global security landscape. American defense officials view this expansion as a major and growing security challenge, one that could alter the balance of power for decades to come. The Pentagon now projects that China could possess over 1,000 nuclear warheads by 2030, an arsenal far exceeding what would be required for basic self-defense, and signaling a shift towards strategic parity with the US and Russia. Washington is increasingly alarmed by Beijing's secrecy and lack of transparency, which fuels deep mistrust and heightens the risk of dangerous miscalculation between nuclear powers. Without open communication or clear intentions from China, the US is forced to prepare for worst-case scenarios, raising the stakes and the risks in any potential crisis. China's rapidly growing nuclear arsenal could embolden its leaders to use conventional military force, especially in sensitive areas like the Taiwan Strait, under the protective umbrella of a stronger nuclear deterrent. This expanding nuclear shadow could deter US intervention, embolden aggressive moves, and further destabilize the already tense region of East Asia. The rise of China as a peer nuclear competitor upends decades of relative stability, which was maintained by a bipolar nuclear order between the US and Russia. Past arms control agreements were designed for a world with just 2 major nuclear players, not 3, making them increasingly outdated. Now, for the first time in history, the United States faces the unprecedented challenge of deterring 2 major nuclear-armed rivals at the same time, each with its own interests and strategies. The strategic landscape is more complex and potentially less stable than ever before, with new risks and uncertainties emerging on all sides. The world is entering a new era of nuclear competition, where old assumptions and strategies may no longer be enough to keep the peace. The old rules of nuclear engagement no longer apply, and the path forward is uncertain. The stakes for global security have never been higher, and the world must adapt quickly to avoid catastrophic consequences. China has long pledged no first use of nuclear weapons, promising to retaliate only if attacked. But its rapid expansion and new capabilities suggest a possible shift in doctrine. Analysts point to China's investment in early warning systems and hundreds of new missile silos, signs of a move toward a launch-on-warning posture. This approach shrinks decision time to minutes, raising the risk of accidental war from false alarms or technical errors. A more responsive, silo-based force hints at a strategy that goes beyond simple retaliation. While Beijing hasn't abandoned its no first use pledge, its actions are creating ambiguity and anxiety worldwide. The gap between China's stated policy and its capabilities is widening. The world is left guessing about China's true nuclear intentions. China's buildup is dramatic, but the US and Russia still hold nearly 90% of the world's nuclear weapons. The US has about 5,000 warheads, Russia even more. China's 600 is still far behind. The difference is trajectory. US and Russian arsenals are stable or shrinking, while China's is growing fast and without arms control limits. China is moving into a new tier, far ahead of other nuclear states like the UK, France, India, and Pakistan. The world is shifting from 2 major nuclear powers to 3, fundamentally changing global strategy. All major powers are modernizing their arsenals, reversing the post-Cold War trend toward disarmament. Transparency is declining, and arms control is faltering. The last US-Russia treaty, New START, is under strain, and China refuses to join talks, claiming its arsenal is too small. As China's stockpile grows, that argument weakens. The result, a more opaque, unpredictable nuclear environment. The risk of an unconstrained arms race is rising. The global nuclear order is entering uncharted territory. China's nuclear program is shrouded in secrecy. The government reveals almost nothing about its arsenal, production, or doctrine. This calculated ambiguity forces outsiders to rely on satellite imagery and indirect evidence. Analysts discovered China's new missile silos through commercial satellites, but much remains hidden underground. Without official data, estimates are uncertain and open to interpretation. This secrecy increases the risk of misjudgment, either overestimating or underestimating the threat. Still, multiple sources agree. China is rapidly expanding its arsenal. The real mystery is not whether the buildup is happening, but why and how far it will go. The world is left to guess at China's ultimate nuclear ambitions. A nuclear arsenal needs more than warheads. It requires a vast industrial base. China is ramping up production of fissile materials, building new reactors to fuel hundreds of additional bombs. It's also investing in modern command, control, and communication systems to manage a larger, more dispersed force. These upgrades ensure launch orders can be reliably transmitted and forces remain ready in a crisis. Building this infrastructure is a long-term strategic commitment, not a temporary measure. China's investments show it's serious about becoming a global military power. Each piece, reactors, silos, command systems, reinforces the others. This holistic buildup signals ambitions far beyond minimal deterrence. China is systematically constructing the foundation of a top-tier nuclear force. The world is witnessing the rise of a new nuclear superpower. China's current nuclear expansion is a sharp break from its past. For decades, it relied on a small arsenal for minimal deterrence, enough to retaliate, not to compete. Now China is building a larger, more sophisticated force, aiming for strategic parity with the US and Russia. This is not just about numbers, but about advanced technology, hypersonic weapons, anti-satellite systems, and more. Today's arms race is qualitative, not just quantitative. The US and China are rivals, but also deeply interconnected economically, unlike the Cold War's clear divide. This makes the security environment more complex and unpredictable. A miscalculation could have devastating consequences for both global security and the world economy. The stakes of this new nuclear era are higher than ever. Managing this competition will require new thinking and unprecedented caution. As China's arsenal grows, diplomacy is more urgent than ever. Open communication between the US and China is essential to prevent misunderstandings and manage crises. Yet arms control talks have stalled, and China resists joining existing agreements. As its stockpile grows, international pressure mounts for Beijing to engage in strategic stability dialogues. The goal: reduce risks, clarify doctrines, and set rules to avoid an uncontrolled arms race. Practical steps, like missile test notifications and crisis hotlines, could make a real difference. Without new guardrails, the world faces a more dangerous, unpredictable future. The path to stability lies in clear communication and a shared commitment to avoid conflict. Preventing nuclear catastrophe is a responsibility both Washington and Beijing owe to the world.